Hello my friends, and thank you for joining me today. How are you? I hope you are okay and want to tag along as I create my first Halloween card for 2021. I'm starting with some watercolor cardstock and a big circle of masking paper. I place my big circle on my card where I imagine my creepy moon will be. And I use a bone folder to make sure it will stay in place. And now it's time to get inky. For this background I have chosen 3 shades of green in Twisted Citron, Mowed Lawn and Rustic Wilderness, and I also have the grey Hickory Smoke and Black Soot. I'm using makeup brushes from dollar store to ink up my background because I want a heavy coat of ink for this idea I have. I'm starting with Twisted Citron and then I add Mowed Lawn, but I always go back to the previous color to make the colors blend smoothly. Then I add Rustic Wilderness and continue the same procedure with all my colors, making sure the blend is smooth and the coat of ink is heavy. I add the grey and black and go back and forth between the colors, making the blend as smooth as I can. Finally, I go around the card with black soot to frame my spooky scene. It is always such a satisfying feeling to peel back my mask and reveal my big moon. My next step is somewhat of an experiment, but I'm hoping it will work, and I take my spray bottle with water and spray it heavily, hoping the ink will react and seep into the moon and give that moon a green, spooky feeling. And I must say, as creepy moons go, this one is very creepy. For this card I will use stamp sets from Tim Holtz, and most of them was a gift from my generous friend Linda. This first set is called Dearly Departed, and I just love the creepiness. I of course choose to stamp the eye and the flowers with thorns. I stamp in Versafine Nocturne ink and cover with WOW's clear superfine embossing powder and melt the powder with my heat tool. To color the eye with surrounding flesh and bone, I bring out my Prima complexion palette and use the lightest skin color on the nose. I use the pink around the eye, and then I bring out Distress ink in old paper because I want the skin to have a sick greenish color. And I don't want the eyeball to have a stark white color, so I bring out Distress Oxide Ink in antique linen to give the eyeball a light yellow color. For the beautiful flower, I bring back the colors from the background in Twisted Citron and Rustic Wilderness for the leaves, and those raised embossed lines make my watercoloring easy. For the flower, I used Hickory Smoke and Black Soot. I start with the grey, make shadows with black, and finally I use Hickory Smoke again to avoid harsh lines. For the flower stem, I use the brown Distress Oxide ink in ground espresso. Next I need a spooky branch and I draw one and cut it out. Then I smoosh my Versamark embossing ink pad over the branch, cover it with black embossing powder, and while the powder is still warm and sticky from melting, I dip my branch in the embossing powder again to get a thick coat of black. Then I just glue the branch on my background into the moon, so we end up with a black silhouette of a branch. Next, I glue down that gorgeous flower branch and then the creepy eye. By now you know I want this evening sky to give that eerie feeling, so I make my own stencil from plastic packaging. I wasn't entirely happy with it, but I give it a go. Starting with twisted citron, I place my stencil on the background and start ink blending on the stencil so I get just a hint of color around the edge. Then I do the same with hickory smoke and black soot, and I get these jagged clouds over my background. Next I take a small brush and twisted citron and make light brush strokes over my background. Next I bring out another stamp set and pick out that crow. I stamp my crow in Versafine Onyx Black Ink and cover it with WOW's clear, superfine embossing powder and melt it. Now, I usually struggle with sentiment, but this time I found them in this stamp set. I choose the sentiment I love you and happy Halloween. I stamp I love you next to the I and giggle to myself before I heat emboss it. And I do the same with happy Halloween. I stamp in Versafine Onyx Black Ink and heat emboss with WOW's clear embossing powder. Now I could be done, but I just need a few more details. I find a spider in yet another stamp set, and I stamp a few spiders and heat emboss them in the same way as before. Now all I have to do is cut the spiders out and glue them down in a few places. And now this first Halloween card is finished. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and I hope you will visit me soon again. Until the next time, see you soon.